Mark Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan, and he was saying that the people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream at them and curse. So we're going to go ahead and play this here, a little clip.
There's so much going on. I want to put that in people's heads before we go on. Like, understand the kind of numbers that we're talking about here. Now understand you have the pandemic, and then you have the administration that's doing something where I think they crossed the line, where it gets really weird, where they're saying what you were saying. They were trying to get you to take down vaccine side effects, which is just crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, like you're saying, I mean, it's so complicated, this system, that I could spend every minute of all of my time doing this and not actually focused on building any of the things that we're trying to do. AI, glasses, like the future of social media, all that stuff. So when I get involved in this stuff, but in general, we have a policy team. There are people who I trust. They're the people who are kind of working on this on a day-to-day basis. And the interactions that I was just referring to, I mean, a lot of this is documented. I mean, because Jim Jordan and the House had this whole investigation and committee into the kind of government censorship around stuff like this. And we produced all these documents, and it's all in the public domain. I mean, basically, these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse. And it's like, these documents it's all kind of out there.
Oh, did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails, the emails are published. It's all kind of out there.
I really believe that they didn't record any of those calls.
No.
I'm gonna press X to doubt on that one.
I mean, I would love to see those kind of things come out. But, the idea that the federal government leans so heavily on Facebook, this isn't a surprise to us here, but it is nice to hear someone like Zuckerberg admitting it. I mean, the Twitter files came out, and you knew that what the government was doing at Twitter before Elon Musk, got in there. And honestly, again, we talk about, you were talking about divine intervention. While I don't share your faith, it is clear that without things like Elon Musk buying Twitter, without things like Donald Trump moving his head just an inch or two, the whole world would be different right now.
Yes.
And so that brings us to this story. Old man yells at the clouds. Oh, I'm sorry. Biden says that Meta's decision to get rid of fact checkers is really shameful, which really, I mean, it speaks to the posture of the federal government that says, they're no longer cooperating with us. And
so
that's
that he voted for Trump, and this is the way he's talking.
You'd think that he'd be more friendly, that the Bidens would be more friendly to these developments. But no, it's. Do you want to go ahead and listen to this little bit of? You want to hear the old man poop his pants?
Would you comment on Meta's decision to end its fact-checking operations in the United States? Is that a good decision, in your opinion?
Well, look, the whole idea of walking away from fact-checking, as well as not reporting anything having to do with discrimination regarding to...
It's okay to laugh, guys.
He would never make it in the podcasting world.
I find to be just contrary to American justice, the way we talk about one another.
Dude, this is gross. This is abuse,
Telling the
dude.
truth matters. I mean, it's...
You can see his mind just working overtime.
I know
to
I'm
try to
on national
formulate.
television, but you all are local reporters and national reporters. I'm not. This is not a real question, but what do you think? You think it doesn't matter that they
squirrel
let
at
be
the
printed,
control panel,
or millions of people read it,
right
things
now.
that are simply not true? I mean, I don't know what that's all about. It's just completely contrary to everything America's about. We want to tell the truth. We haven't always done it as a nation, but we want to tell the truth. And the idea that, a billionaire can buy something and say, by the way, from this point on, we're not gonna fact check anything. And when you have millions of people going online, reading this stuff, it is Anyway.
So
I
Joe
think
Biden
it's-
has come out against the freedom of the press and
Is
the
that what he
freedom
said?
freedom of speech. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me.
I couldn't really tell.
I do like in the future that the people in charge are like, look, if you forget what you're saying, just ask the reporters what they think.
Yeah.
Man, what do y'all
The
think?
idea.
I mean, the audacity of the old man to make some of those statements. I mean, I do think that he is aware of the things that he's saying at that time. I do think that he knows that he's saying, "Oh, the fact checkers were actually fact checking." I think he knows that he's saying that. I don't know for sure if he knows that they weren't, and I don't know that he understands what like community notes actually is. And
I guarantee he doesn't know that. Yeah.
I mean that's the system that they're going to that Mark Zuckerberg was saying on the Joe Rogan podcast, that they're going to be implementing something similar to community notes where the actual users the actual users of Facebook. So I mean, what do you think you're going to get out of that?
Yeah.
But like the actual users are going to be upvoting and downvoting stuff. I assume that maybe he's going to it'll actually be on Instagram where it'll get normal stuff, because it's just going to be Boomerville on Facebook, but
Right.
things that Nana believes. But
I will be honest, I don't like the way that community notes are used on X. It seems like the most part they're just kind of used as clapbacks and like sassy little remarks. Or like the community notes are turning into memes. And before community notes were used, you just looked at the replies to a tweet and saw people refuting it. It's
Meaning, like you were asking more of the actual engagement
Yeah.
between you and your audience to know that you had to go down through the comments
Yeah.
to actually find the truth, whereas now you just look to the note.
We didn't need to dumb it down like that. And the fact that there were contradicting pieces of information all over the place meant that you go down your timeline and continue reading until you get some amalgamation of what's actually going on. If you have more than 2 brain cells, right?
well, do you think
Crazy
that?
take.
Well, no, I don't think it's crazy, and I think that there's probably substance to it. But do you think that this system is better than the fact checkers?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
But why do we need either one? That's my question.
I'm not sure that we do, but I do think that considering the fact that I think that this is come a long way from approved messaging from the establishment, which is what fact checkers were. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg was saying that they're unquestionably ideological, and that they had a specific motivation, and they were telling him that things that were obviously true, that he knew were true. He was saying they were saying things. They're like, no, you have to take this down, and this isn't true and stuff. And if that's what fact checkers are doing, then that flies in the face of everything the old man said.
Well, let me ask you this though: to what point do you think this is? He's shifting really just his business model, because Elon's crushing it on X.
Yes.
And he's just trying to catch up. And it's just a shift in the business model. His mind, his mentality, I'm sure, has not changed one way or the other. But it's just.
But I mean, fair enough. But
which is good. I'm
Do we believe that Mark Zuckerberg just like woke up on the right side of the bed one day and was like, I was wrong about everything?
no.
The whole point is that once you realize that there's a better business model out there that flies in the face of everything that's been going on for the last 8 to 10 years, the idea is you financially encourage it for them.
Right,
Because the
yeah.
best way to get somebody to believe what you believe, if you, or help them see the truth, is to make it financially beneficial for them if we're talking in the business market, because that's what they're looking to do. They want to make money and they want to continue growing their business.
Right, which is look, it's capitalism, it's working, that's great, and the free market has moved him in that direction. I just don't think it's him just.
No, but I don't
his mind.
expect that to, and that's not what I'm.
Well,
that's not
but Elon actually did it. In my view, there was some altruism to what Elon did.
I agree,
because he took a big risk.
As far as Zuckerberg goes, though, I mean, I think a lot of one of the things that Zuckerberg was mentioning was when the United States applies pressure like that, the rest of the world takes notice and they start applying pressure as well. So they couldn't, like, they had to they had to deal with the United States, and then the rest of the world decided they were really going to come down on them. Because if the United States isn't standing up and saying, no, we don't do this, we don't allow this, there was a time where the United States would step in and defend American companies, companies like Facebook and stuff, and they would defend them. The EU is chomping at the bit to regulate, and they'll regulate these companies out of business if they have to, or if they can, if they're allowed to. The United States needs to step in and protect the companies that are American companies. And the United States does have the ability to apply significant pressure to other countries and say, look, you can't tell American companies that they have to abide by your rules.
Well, this is what Tim Cook was saying when he was asked about donating money to Trump's inauguration campaign. Is that people were saying, how could you possibly, the head of Apple, a gay man, how could you donate money to Donald Trump's?
Donald Trump doesn't hate gay people.
But the thing is, but they're ideologically bent and they don't understand that. And he said he's great for he's great for business and he's great for our interests in other countries, and that's the point.
Yeah. One of the things that Zuckerberg was saying when he was talking about the pressure that he gets, I think that the change in his attitude is less because of it's some kind of like awakening, because he's referenced the talk that he gave at a college 5 years ago. He referenced it multiple times. He referenced it here, and some of the people on the board at Facebook were discussing with press, and they had mentioned that same talk. And I think Mark Zuckerberg looks at this as an opportunity. Yeah. With Donald Trump coming in and noticing the kind of change in temperature of society, he's looking at it as an opportunity to take action and do something substantive at Facebook that he believes the United States will help apply globally, because Facebook is the biggest social media network globally still, if I understand correctly. And so that's right. Places like India, which has 1.5 billion people, there is Facebook in India, if I understand correctly. There's no Facebook in China, right? I do believe that Zuckerberg is looking at this through a business opportunity perspective, but I think that he's thinking, I now will have the support of the federal government, the United States federal government, to actually implement policies globally that will be positive for things like free speech and the free exchange of ideas. And I think that he looks at it and says, I'll have the government backing me up, as opposed to trying to fight all of these other governments and the United States federal government. He's not going to be getting the pressure from the Biden administration anymore. He's going to have an administration that isn't hostile to business at all. If you listen to the All In podcast, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So I listen to that regularly, and one of the things that they talk about all the time is how the Trump administration won't be hostile to business. You listen to people talking about what's going to happen in California. They're talking about the permits and how rebuilding is going to be an absolute nightmare because the bureaucracy is hostile to business. The left is just generally hostile to business. And if you get a person in a position of authority like Donald Trump that isn't hostile to business, there can be great things done for the economy, for the people. And again, I understand there's a lot of people right now that are kind of skeptical of number go up kind of ideas, but number go up kind of ideas actually translates to human beings living better lives.
Yes, human flourishing.
Yes,
that's what we want. I
the goal. So I understand, I understand people that are like, look, the United States has to look out for the U.S. first. I totally get it. We've had a lot of conversations about the H-1B visas, and I've learned a lot about the H-1B visas. I was under the impression that the H-1B visas were actually the O-1 visas, we're doing the job that the O-1 visas.
Yeah, they are not the O-1
They're
visas.
not?
No.
I wasn't aware of that, but now that I'm aware of that, get rid of the H-1B visas. They're rife with.
Would you mind drawing the distinction?
So an H-1B, an O-1 visa is where they find someone that is exceptionally skilled at a job, and they say, we want to pick you out of your country and bring you to America.
The way to think about it is like an Einstein visa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So like the best of the best.
We need to win the space race.
Operation
Paperclip.
Yeah.
Hey,
right?
Warner Von Braun.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're not always the most. They're sometimes they're unsavory characters.
Lots of Germans back in the day.
Yeah.
The point is, you're getting people that are really skilled at something. Okay. Oh, actually, we got this. The O-1 visa While both the O1 and H1B visas allow skilled foreign workers to temporarily work in the U.S., the key difference is that an O1 visa is for individuals with extraordinary ability in their field, like science, arts, business, or athletics, while an H1B visa is for professionals in specialty occupations requiring a bachelor's degree, and it's typically employer-specific. There is massive abuse of the H1B visa.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, like accountants.
Please.
Companies will go out and get H-1B visas for accountants. We have plenty of people in this country that have accounting degrees. The difference is that they're going to pay them far less money to bring them in on that H-1B visa, which then the American is not getting that job. And so it just doesn't make any sense at all. The whole
What countries
system.
are they looking at for those purposes?
Well, I mean, it's all over the world, but you get a lot from India, for
okay,
instance.
so it's just insane to me that like Vivek is tweeting about this, getting all mad, and he's like, it just means that the accountants from India are just like better at accounting. Okay?
Remember, Mary, they're
Stop
bringing,
asking questions.
they're bringing them in so that they can replace the Americans who spent too much time watching Saved by the Bell.
They did. They idolized Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
I was an
and
AC
Corey
Slater
from
guy,
Boy
but,
Meets
yeah.
World, and now they're lazy
point.
and they're not as good at
Everybody
accounting
stand
as
back because
Indians.
Mary's going to go off and it's going to be awesome.
I'm not going to go off anymore.
Come on!
No.
Another thing about the H-1B visas is that because they're tied to a job, it gives the employer leverage over the people. So if you lose the job, then you lose the visa. So if you're a person that's here on an H-1B visa,
You're going to fall in line.
yeah,
They
you're going
accept less pay.
Yeah, they'll do all kinds of things. So I'm perfectly fine. You want to get rid of the H-1B visa, you want to cut them down to a trickle. Totally fine with it. The
I mean,
O1
even just a small fix on it, it would just be first you went out and sought Americans for these jobs, and then in the absence of being able to fill those positions, then you applied for H-1B visas.
Fun fact, they brought me into this company on an H-1B visa.
There you go.
from Michigan.
From Michigan. They're from Minnesota. But
Well, Minnesota.
You're close enough to Canada.
Basically Canada, yeah.
It is like another country up there. It's cold all the time. It's dark all the time. I've been there many times.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.